Hey everyone, welcome to the party. This is Joe Gannon's special guest workshop on repurposing for growth. I've been mentioning Joe quite often. Joe and I became friends maybe like around 18 months to 2 years ago. And Joe has been our repurposing machine since for the last, I think it's been around a year now since you've been repurposing stuff for us. That's amazing because you've been really helping us grow on Instagram and on Twitter and on TikTok and on LinkedIn and sort of on Facebook as well. And Joe is a pro at growing on all these shows, on all these platforms, and really is very, very up to date on how to grow across all these different places. In fact, last night I WhatsApped Joe frantically being like, Joe, I need to do a talk about how to grow on LinkedIn. Any advice? And he just sent me this like 9-point paragraph. I was like, oh yes, I've got this. So I could have freestyled my talk just based on the stuff that Joe knew. So Joe, you're building an agency around this, and we are a client of yours, and you've got a couple of other clients as well, some pretty big ones. And in this workshop, we are going to talk about some stuff. I'll just let you do it. Guys, if anyone needs an agency to do repurposing, talk to Joe, talktojoe.com. I'm sure you've got a website these days or an email address. I'm sure you can stick that in the Zoom chat and people can reach out to you if they like. But this session is all about repurposing for growth. Joe, take it away.
Thank you so much. I just laughing at Langus, which I guess is Liz and Angus together. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's a pleasure to meet you guys. I'm just going to navigate the share the screen just to check everything is all good. So I am, bear with whilst I get up the slides. So I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments what social media platforms you guys are focusing on initially. Obviously YouTube is your jam right now, but what other platforms are you interested in? So I'm going to share with sound. I should know this by now. So gonna present to you guys. So Angus, you can see this okay when it comes up. I'm gonna have a little Angus up so I can see Angus's face. Thumbs up. Okay, bro. So guys, firstly, I'd love for you to drop in the comments the social media platforms you are interested in growing on. So is it Instagram? Is it TikTok? Is it using Instagram Reels? So I'm going to have your chat up. So we've got Twitter, we've got TikTok, we've got Patreon. Interesting. Lots of different ones going on. Okay, brilliant. So today's talk is repurposing for growth on social media. So as Ali spoke about yesterday, you guys have done the hardest part for, in terms of content production, you guys have done the hardest part, which is making YouTube videos. And that is pillar content, which is a term you'll hear a lot from me today. So when you focus on YouTube videos, you allow yourself to then repurpose that content for social media. And what you'll find is from focusing on YouTube videos, you open up all these different avenues for how you can grow on social media. So no longer does YouTube and social media have to be two sorts of things, which you're trying to grow in isolation. Because you're focused on your YouTube videos, you are now going to be able to grow on socials, which is what we're going to talk about today. So Ali did an amazing session yesterday. I was watching it this morning, and he covered really in detail the what and the why. So I'm going to reiterate the what and the why. So what is repurposing, why you should repurpose your content. And then we're going to mainly try and focus more on the how on this session. So I'm going to show you some of the tools that I use. We're going to literally lift the lid on our first approach with Ali's content, which is an approach we can all do literally after this workshop. And then we're going to move on to more of a second approach, which is slightly more bespoke. And the second approach is kind of playing the LinkedIn game and being selective of what you post on there, playing the Twitter game, playing the Instagram game, and so on and so forth. But our first approach with repurposing is going to be what I saw in the comments is more of the 80-20 approach to taking your YouTube videos and then creating some content, which is going to cover as many platforms as possible. So to reiterate what Ali said yesterday, Ali kind of went through 9 different levels of repurposing. So from Twitter to making YouTube shorts and all the way to sort of dreamland of repurposing Nirvana. With YouTube, and to echo the messages from Ali, Angus, and Liz, there's no ceiling with content. There's an endless amount of ideas we can have for content. There's an endless amount of ideas you could have for your YouTube videos. And we're really going to focus on today, like what is sustainable for you in your individual position. So the first hour of this talk is going to be sort of going through the what, the why, and then the how. And then the Q&A will open up towards the end, the last half an hour of how we can relate this to your own situation. And I really, to reiterate one of the core principles of PTYA is do not feel overwhelmed with repurposing. You should firstly be focusing on producing 1 YouTube video per week, and then think about distribution and the most effective way to distribute that content. you can watch this recording at any time. You can jump back into this in a month's time, 2 months time, and you'll over time be going through all these different levels. But definitely, to echo Ali's sort of sentiment yesterday, you do not need to worry about, you know, having your website and your blog and all these different things, because repurposing is endless, and it's more about doing what is sustainable for you, which is what we'll be focusing on. Today, we're going to try and towards the second half of the first hour, kind of be quite practical with the demos of how to butcher content, which is basically chopping up your content into different ways. So taking your YouTube videos and making them into multiple different things. And then also we're going to focus on fire moments and how to create those. So that's Ali's term for, go back a slide. Fire moments is Ali's term for essentially in your 10-minute video, you would have said some amazing things. And it's then where are those moments and making those into content themselves, which would then have the benefit of promoting your longer YouTube video, your 10-minute YouTube video, for example. We talk about cross-platform pollination. So across social media platforms, how you can use different platforms in different ways. And then we will kind of touch on our more up-to-date workings with Ali. So as Ali's content's improved, the team's built, our repurposing has kind of changed to kind of play the LinkedIn game, play the TikTok game. But firstly, we're definitely going to talk about how you can do as sort of as low effort as possible and have the greatest results. So very brief introduction to me. That picture was before lockdown. So the hair is just as curly, but I think I look younger there and happier there. Obviously, we've been through a lot with the pandemic, all of us. But yeah, so my background, my first job out of uni was working for Cambridge University social media team, which is how I heard from a grape. That's the wrong saying. That's how I heard about Ali, from him being at Cambridge and being this stellar student who had a business, had a YouTube channel, had a podcast. But I worked for Cambridge in their social media team. I created content myself for about 18 months to 2 years on LinkedIn as a platform I went really kind of triple down on. In the first cohort of PTYA, you guys have house masters now, but we initially had peer supporters, so just weekly sessions, and I was a peer supporter in cohort 1. So I'm one of you guys as well. I am in this cohort Confundo, so shout out to Liz, who's my housemaster. I think I've only attended 2 sessions, so it's probably my fault, the sort of the points and why we're not leading the leaderboard. But I would like to hear from you guys in the comments, like what sort of houses you guys are in, because I've not been able to attend as many things as I'd like to, but I think it's an awesome introduction, this course. So definitely put in the comments what houses you guys are in now. So I work with Ali and his team to repurpose the content to socials. And then I work with other established creators, business owners, entrepreneurs. So if you've heard of David Burrell, Chris Williamson, who has the Modern Wisdom podcast, Speechify and Cliff Weitzman, these are the people that I work with to repurpose their content. And basically this talk is taking all of the knowledge, all of the expertise, giving you all the shortcuts, the blueprints, and the hacks so you can go and do it yourself is the purpose of this workshop. And then, as I said, I'm one of you guys. So I'm trying to create my own YouTube channel, and I'm trying to offer how-tos and tutorials and how you can do this for yourself as well. So I'll be referencing this video quite a lot in this talk. So I do have a YouTube video on like an 18-minute explainer video on how to repurpose Ali's content from start to finish. So how we find those fire moments, how we butcher content. So I wanted to just flag this up, not to promote myself, but partly, but basically to say that I'll be referencing this video, but don't worry because you can watch that at any time. We'll be doing a live demo later on stuff instead. So you may have seen some of Ali's sort of clips. We're going to be talking about how to make clips yourself on social. And someone mentioned in the comments, like, what's our 80-20 approach to repurposing? Well, if you make video clips, which we'll talk about today, this covers so many platforms and it looks good. It's easy to sort of consume, easy to digest content. And we're going to talk about this first in our first approach for repurposing. And then I'll talk about more what we're doing more recently, which is potentially more advanced techniques. But again, everything's focused on low friction, high output, which is obviously Ali's sort of message for his YouTube channel and his business in P2A. So this is a bit of this image is manifestation, hopefully, for you guys. So I have had my hands on a YouTube 100K plaque. It wasn't mine. I probably should have photoshopped the name out. I could maybe got away with it. But obviously this photo now needs the 2 on the front and an extra 0 on the end because it's 2 million subscribers and it's not 100,000. But I'm assure you guys that I've done the first cohort. I'm involved with Ali's team. And if you follow everything these guys say, your YouTube channel is going to be a success and your social media growth is going to be a success. So we're going to go through the what and the why of repurposing. but I am mindful that Ali did a really good job yesterday. So I'm going to try and get to the how as fast as possible. In the comments, I am used to, like you guys, listening to things on 2x and 3x, and I'm probably talk too fast sometimes. So feel free to say slow down. But I'm going to try and get to the meat of the how, which is more tangible for you guys and how that relates to your own content. But firstly, we will talk about why you should repurpose content and what repurposing content is. So I actually repurposed, if you pardon the pun, Ali's slides yesterday, which helped me do this slide deck a bit faster. So Ali yesterday said that you guys have done 95% essentially of the effort with your YouTube videos. And we all know now you're in the 5th week of the course, in the penultimate week. A YouTube video, there's so many aspects to it, and it does take a lot of time. So when you've done 95% of the effort now, to use Ali's sort of term, then distribution is the extra 5% in terms of effort. But in my mind, and in my perspective, potentially a controversial point is that distribution can actually have 95% of the impact in terms of being seen, in terms of reach of your content. So obviously, if we go back to this, especially for you guys just getting started with your YouTube channels, if you maybe have 10 subscribers, 50 subscribers, 100 subscribers, you're putting out all this amazing content and you're just at the start of your journey. There is that sort of hockey stick curve where you're posting content, putting a lot of time into it, maybe not seeing the results, but then you stick at it, as Ali says, stick at something for 2 years, you then start to see the growth, it becomes exponential. So for a lot of us, we'll be putting out all this YouTube video content, maybe sometimes feeling disheartened, sometimes feeling what's it all for? However, it starts to change and all of your videos is evergreen content, which starts to work for you. And we're going to really talk about the benefits of why the sort of pluses of focusing on the long form asset of a YouTube video and how that literally enables your social media growth as a byproduct. And I like to just flip the 95 to 5 and say, well, at the start, just posting a YouTube video to 10 subscribers might have a cap of 10 views, but you have to stick in there and it's a long-term game. So especially at the start, you need to distribute the content. You need to be thinking about where your audiences are, how they like to consume content. And the distribution will be posting clips, posting snippets, posting tweets, and promoting your video. Because at the start, it just needs that leg up, basically. You have to tell people about what you're doing. Can't really get away from that. So in my mind, so some of you guys may have come across a guy called He, and this is a really amazing article on Brad Reed's, which is his blog. And this is how I think about repurposing and content in general. And I'll talk about why repurposing is kind of a mindset, which you just need to get into. And once you're in that mindset, you're going to just see content literally everywhere. So with repurposing, and this goes into what is repurposing and why you should do it, is I like to think of repurposing and starting with your YouTube channel as your big domino. So this article is about a big domino. So what is the one single thing which you focus on, which allows other things to happen? So by focusing on your YouTube videos, you allow social media growth. You allow to grow your LinkedIn presence, your Twitter presence, your TikTok presence, because you have this YouTube video, which you can chop up in all these different ways. So to apply what is your big domino sort of principle, on any given day, to apply this to like life, for me, I have like 5 distinct separate goals of I want to go to the gym, I want to like work out and be healthy, I want to eat well, I want to be productive, I want to have downtime, I want to get a good night's sleep. So these are all like separate goals on any one day, which if I treat them in isolation, that is my energy is going on 5 different ways. I'm having to like motivate myself, inspire myself, hold myself accountable to achieve these different things. However, so there's 5 sort of separate things I can treat them as. However, I've learned from just how I work that if I do exercise first thing, then I usually want to eat well because, you've gone to the gym, whatever, you want to eat healthy afterwards. You then feel good that you went to the gym this morning. You've kind of eaten healthy. You're then sort of concentrating on your work. So you're being productive. After going to the gym, being productive, you then allow yourself downtime. You'll put on Netflix and watch that series. And then at the end of it, you'll probably get a good night's sleep from that exhausting day. So the question, what is your big domino? And relating it to content creation, well, in my day, instead of treating these as 5 separate goals to achieve, if I focus on the first one, which is going to the gym, I usually find out that everything else follows after that. So going to the gym here is my big domino. So relating this to YouTube, repurposing, and social media, you guys are focusing on the big domino of a YouTube video, which is going to sound very obvious, has visual components to it. It has what you're saying on camera. You can be seen. It has the audio, the high quality audio, which can be used in different ways. and it has the written aspects of the script that you prepared, and also how the audio and the visuals can be transcribed to have text. So to think about this, your big domino in your content is your YouTube video, and you're enabling all of this sort of things as a byproduct of that. So I would be a hypocrite if I was talking about repurposing and not maybe talking about what I do myself. So my own repurposing and my eureka moment came from, I was trying to do content on LinkedIn as a single platform. I had the idea that I want to show up and do record myself and do a video clip for LinkedIn. And really from start to finish, that would take me an hour. So from recording myself, thinking about what I'm going to say, setting up the camera, doing multiple takes, deleting multiple takes, that might take an hour of time. And my output would just be a one-on-one thing. So from focusing on, let's do a video for LinkedIn, my output would just be one video clip. And because I wasn't thinking about repurposing and that having that mindset, I wasn't maybe thinking this video could also be put out in different ways. And I wasn't even considering that. So my hour just led to the single sort of output of one video clip. However, what you guys are in the mindset for is now, I then had this sort of eureka moment of, well, if I, after my sort of 1 hour sunk cost of getting in the sort of mood of recording something, my script, what I could actually do is instead record a 10-minute YouTube video. And maybe like Ali recommends is you use listicles. So it could be, instead of a 1 minute clip for LinkedIn about productivity, you can maybe share in a 10-minute YouTube video your 10 favorite productivity tools. With the sunk cost of setting everything up and doing the scripting and things like that, it might only take you an extra hour to record this YouTube video, which you guys are doing, but obviously the output can be so much more. And this goes into the sort of butchering and the creating fire moments. And once you've got this mindset for repurposing, content is going to be a breeze, because you're going to be so motivated naturally and intrinsically to record that YouTube video, because not only do you get a YouTube video, you get multiple video clips and you find your fire moments, which we'll train you on today on how to do that. For me, it was related to LinkedIn, but this could be a personal blog or a website or email campaigns. You also could use your script and directly repurpose it to articles. You also, the video clips that you make can be then transcribed with different tools like Descript and Otter to provide text content as well. So that's another output from focusing on YouTube video. You could design like a carousel swipe through deck, which can be posted across socials as well. Again, from focusing on this larger picture, you then allow yourself this opportunity. And then equally as well, you guys are experts in your field. So 10 minutes of you talking, like best believe there's gonna be lots of like tweets, sort of snappy moments in there as well. I'm seeing people say 2 hours the YouTube video. Yeah, don't worry, that's not me either. It's about half a day. I'm still with you guys on that one. But the principle there is that if you focus on the left and you weren't considering repurposing, the left is like the general way of approaching marketing and approaching content creation. So most even businesses and marketing agencies will go in on a Monday and think, we need to write an article today. What article should we create? And then they write the article and then they post it. Or I'm going to record a video, and they don't consider other social media platforms. They don't consider how people consume content in different ways. And they just have that one-on-one sort of, here's my input, here's my output. On the right-hand side, this is my own sort of, from being a creator like you guys, I realized, okay, so I can focus on YouTube video. I should probably cross that time out to say 4 hours, but I can get all of this stuff. And if you don't post all that sort of stuff, even if repurposing distribution is a conversation for a year's time, and you just focus on making your YouTube videos, you can revisit those in the future and make them in different ways to repurpose them. So today we're going to talk about identifying fire moments and how we do that practically for Ali's content. We're going to be talking about butchering content, and we're going to be talking about cross-platform pollination. So essentially taking that video clip and considering a few things to allow yourself to not only put it on LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook in isolation, but to allow yourself to put it on other platforms as well. And they're going to have on every social, you're going to have a presence with very little effort, where all of this sort of clips and tweets and threads and all this content ties into your greater ecosystem. And that is your distribution channel for promoting your videos. So somebody who's not subscribed to your YouTube channel will follow you on Twitter, see your 1 minute snippet or video clip or tweet or thread, and ask you for the full version. And then you'll have it in the comments, hey, here's my full version on the YouTube channel. And this is the sort of like, I see it as like the back of the shop. So I think Ali is one of the best people at doing this, and he obviously shares all his secrets with you guys. So I'm sure he won't mind me saying this, but Ali's initially, when Ali had his website, of all the articles on his website were taken from his newsletter. So he'd post his newsletter, and then that content would be repurposed and would be onto an article. It was either that way around or the other way around. But if you're an onlooker looking in, you're seeing Ali have a personal blog on his website, and then a newsletter is like two separate things. But then because Ali himself is just great at repurposing and connecting everything, the general perception will be like, oh my God, like how do you post on Twitter? How would you post on Facebook? How do you have the time to post on LinkedIn? How are you also doing YouTube? How have you got a personal blog? And how the hell have you got a newsletter as well? Everyone looking in is just going to be like blown away by your level of content output. But for you, you're focusing on the big domino, which is YouTube video. And then you know everything just literally stems out from there, which is what Ali calls his artery method. So repurposing is a mindset. It is just thinking now going forward, how can this content be butchered in different ways? Where are my fire clips? Maybe this YouTube video could be my 5 productivity tools to allow yourself 5 video clips, 5 Twitter threads, a swipe through deck of 5 points. And it's kind of just pausing for a couple of seconds and then going with that as well. So I'm sure you guys are already convinced on repurposing, but Ali mentioned this great resource yesterday, which I just wanted to reiterate. So if you Google Gary V repurposing deck, this will absolutely open your eyes in terms of how content could be posted on different platforms. It's a really incredible resource. I checked that out as well. And another thing, and you guys can just, Angus, I've got you up on the screen, so you can give me a thumbs up. I'm going to play the sound to this clip. So ignore the thumbnail. But this video is going to hopefully convince you even more about why you should repurpose your content. So in this clip, Jordan Peterson, whether you like him or not, he talks quite controversially about some things. The opening of this clip, to give you context, he talks about mainstream media. He talks about the news, journalism, all these things. And he ends on basically the power of podcasts, the power of YouTube videos, and how you can, is a really nice, I won't ruin it, but a really nice quote about the power of repurposing. So I'm going to play this out loud, and Angus, you can give me the thumbs up if you can see this. Fingers crossed.
In a legacy media interview, everything is scripted and you're never talking to a person. You're talking to the corporation, essentially. And I'm not being cynical about that. It had to be that way because bandwidth was so expensive. But now you can sit down with someone and you can risk exploration. Of course, that's what Joe Rogan has been doing so well for so many years. You can risk exploration. You can have 2 people having a genuine discussion about a complex issue, and so they're engaging in dialectical thinking, and if they're good at it, they're modeling it, so they can model high quality dialectical thinking and pull people along on an exploratory journey and make it permanent. And that's completely revolutionary. That's never been possible before, and the possibilities are limitless. And then, sorry, I'm going to rant about this a bit because I am so continually staggered by this. The next thing is you can take those conversations and you can chop them up into 30-second pieces, minute-long pieces, 5-minute-long pieces, 20-minute-long pieces, and each of those can find a specialized home that can attract millions of views. And so it's as if you could write a book and sell it by the sentence.
So that quote at the end is the quote I wanted to draw your guys' attention to. So your YouTube videos is the same as writing a book, and then your repurposing is the same as chopping that content up in different ways and selling your book by the sentence. So you have a conversation with someone, you do your YouTube video, it's on YouTube now, it's housed there, it can be put anywhere else, your YouTube, it could be put on your blog, your website, and then you can take what you've said and post it as tweets. You can take video clips and post it as snippets. So you can sell your book, which is your long form YouTube video, and then you can literally sell that by the sentence and break it up in all these different ways of tools, which I think is a really nice way of thinking about repurposing. So just gonna,
in a legacy media interview, everything is scripted.
Cool. So today we're going to talk about content being sustainable, which I think is one of the most important things to think about. So obviously there's endless amounts of times we can chop up content, but it has to be sustainable, and we have to think about what's realistic for you guys. So lastly, convincing you with repurposing is, I think repurposing is like the tortoise, and our usual approach with content is like the hare. So you guys are feeling inspired now to be creating YouTube videos. Some of you might be so inspired to repurpose your content. You're going to go out and you're going to record 3 YouTube videos, you're going to post them all this week. You're going to turn it on to all these amazing stuff. And then you can have this massive burst of upfront energy, and then going to stop for a month, not post any YouTube videos because you've burnt out, you've exhausted all your creative output, and you're going to stop. The repurposing sort of approach is consistently being able to post on social media, because you're taking your YouTube videos and you're repurposing in different ways. So in that sense, it's more like a tortoise, slow and steady approach, but that has long-term benefits and is sustainable for you guys. So to recap the what and the why, moving on to the how very quickly. So with long form content, and whenever you're doing your YouTube videos, and whenever you stop and think to record content, or if you want to have an idea for a post, just take a step back, ask yourself, what is your big domino? What is the YouTube video title which allows for more content in the future? So always focus and start with pillar content. So pillar content is your YouTube video, it's your podcast, it is that blog, which can then be chopped up in different ways. And then just be realistic with what you can produce, which is the message I want to kind of reiterate on this talk as well. So now we're going to move on to building your own system for repurposing content. So hopefully you're convinced. I don't think you'd be on this workshop if you weren't convinced. But I'm going to be talking about different things now about social media in particular, and some terms if you're just unfamiliar with social media sort of lingo. Organic reach is basically sharing content that reaches new audiences through unpaid distribution. So to say that differently, some social media platforms are high in organic reach, which essentially means it is easier to reach new people through unpaid methods. So you can write a LinkedIn post, you can write a tweet, you can post on Instagram, which is open to all of us. And on some platforms, that is easier to be seen by new people than other platforms. And this kind of goes into saturation. So some platforms are oversaturated and harder to show up. So if you're creating sort of your social media presence from scratch, you're just kind of starting from zero or close to that, there are some platforms which are going to be easier for you to grow on than others. And in the contrast, paid reach is sharing content to audiences through paid distribution. So that'd be the flip side, and the sort of sister to organic reach is paid reach. So you may have heard Facebook being called like a pay to play platform now. Before Instagram Reels, Instagram was very much a saturated platform as well. So for example, if you wanted to post productivity content on Instagram, it used to be very saturated. A lot of people were talking about the same things, and it'd be very hard to grow if you didn't already have an audience. Thankfully, there are certain platforms which have high organic reach. And thankfully, Instagram Reels, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts are all very new ways really of, for any of us with, even if you have no followings on these platforms, you can use these sort of vehicles to have your content seen by new people. So obviously this talk is about repurposing for growth. So organic reach is a key factor in that, because growth is an increase in your audience size and an increase in followers. And there are easier ways to do that than others, which we'll talk about today. So for some of you, it may be surprised that LinkedIn is actually high in organic reach. Only 2% of users on LinkedIn post on LinkedIn. So you may have noticed from one of the first slides, I spoke about LinkedIn and how I tripled down on that as a platform initially. I thought that LinkedIn had a really hot moment like 2 years ago, and that the organic reach, quote unquote, would have died by now. So more people would be posting, which means it's more saturated, which means there's less opportunity. It's not the case. It's still the case. The general perception about LinkedIn is that it is an online TV, it's a recruitment platform, and it's more professional. So, but however, LinkedIn have recently introduced like creator mode and creator profiles, and they are actively turning more into a social media platform and a content platform. So if only 2% of users post on there, the organic reach is high, because LinkedIn as an algorithm is trying to get more people to use it as like a daily driver app. So for most people, LinkedIn won't be their go-to app, which they spend all their time on. And actually like me, for some people, like Instagram is their daily driver app, which they spend all their time on. It's a habit, it's behavior, they lurk on there. So it's more saturated. So LinkedIn has high organic reach, which is very interesting. And so does TikTok. So you probably have heard, even if you don't spend time on TikTok, you'd have heard that somebody with 0 followers can become TikTok famous, which basically means, you know, their content can get 10K views without them having any follower base. So for you guys, you want to be really focusing on and tripling down on in the early stages of your social media presence and your YouTube channels. And even when you're more established, these places are high leverage sort of places to post on, because for the same amount of effort, your content could be seen and distributed further. So more recently as well, organic reach opportunities lie in Instagram Reels, which was a competitor for TikTok, and in my eyes has completely freshened up Instagram as a platform, which was previously saturated. And then YouTube Shorts, which I'm sure you guys have learned a lot on this course about. It was Ali's, I think, level 2 of his sort of repurposing, levels of repurposing. So you've made your YouTube video now, and all you would have to do is turn your sort of camera or your phone portrait, and maybe just in 30 seconds, 20 seconds, just reel off the best points. And then you've also got YouTube video, YouTube Shorts, which can then has high organic reach, can be seen by a lot of people. So I'm sure you guys have seen that your YouTube video might have, let's say, 100 views, but your YouTube Shorts about that same topic might have 10x the views. And if your YouTube Shorts is about the same topic, it can definitely promote people, get them onto your platform to watch that longer video, which is how you can do that in an intentional way. So in terms of organic reach, my sort of question to you guys to think about this, organic reach is really asking yourself the question, is it more enjoyable to run uphill or to run downhill? So running uphill compared to downhill, you may cover the same distance, but it's significantly harder. It requires a lot more effort, and you're not always going to be motivated to kind of run uphill. And my parallel to that is posting on saturated platforms, particularly as a new audience, particularly when you're building an audience from scratch. It's just harder to do. I personally would rather run downhill. I think this woman, if I zoomed in, looks happier. So this to me is identifying an 80-20ing your repurposing approach, which is focusing on creating your content in a way which can be posted on as many platforms as possible, and then focusing on the platforms which have the highest organic reach, because it's just easier to grow there. So you can make it harder for yourself and cover the same distance, but with taking a lot more energy, or you can cover the same distance in a lot easier way. So in general, and feel free to in the comments, share with me your answers to these questions, but we want to be treating, we want to kind of be bespoke here with your own repurposing system. So even with Ali's content at different stages of his profile, we use different platforms in certain ways. So software update. Ali didn't touch Twitter for quite a long time out of personal preference. Instagram was quite hard to grow for Ali at the same initially. When his YouTube channel took off and other platforms took off, Instagram, people then wanted to see the behind the scenes and things like that, and we turned our attention to Instagram. We've almost neglected Facebook for Ali at the moment. Most people in the chat didn't even mention Facebook as a platform because it's less organic reach now. The organic reach is lower. It's more about paid reach. Pay to play. It's more benefits for companies to be doing that than us as individual creators. But now we've just reached, I think on Ali's Facebook, 10K page likes. And now Facebook might become an interesting proposition for him. So there's no one size fits all approach to repurposing. That's what I'm basically, my long-winded answer to that is there's no one size fits all. We're just going to try and help you guys in your own individual ways. So feel free to put it in the chat. Where is your target audience? If you think your target audience are on LinkedIn, then maybe other platforms aren't for you. You should maybe triple down there. If you think they're on across platforms, well, how can you post content in a way which covers all bases? Also as well, going back to the sort of running uphill and downhill, what platforms do you enjoy using? So if you don't enjoy LinkedIn, I know Ali hates LinkedIn. If you don't enjoy a platform, then you're less inclined to post there, which would mean you're not really going to show up over long term. It goes back to what's sustainable for you as a platform. So people are saying Facebook, IG, Twitter, TikTok. This is really important for you guys to know. And then you can align where you enjoy spending time. So you can align where your target audience is, the platforms you enjoy using, this sort of sustainable frequency of showing up, and then align that with the platforms with the highest organic reach. And I'd say that's like the top level overview of what your sort of strategy should be with repurposing. The gold standard would be to post different content completely that looks different on every platform, but realistically, nobody's got time for that. Ali is the best advocate for things being frictionless. Let's try and post stuff in as many places as possible, and let's focus on the highest leverage places. So to talk through now, to take a bit of a breather, let you guys have a bit of a breather. We're going to talk through two approaches. So the first approach is what we did for Ali initially. And I'd say for most of us in this talk, in this workshop, we're going to be more inclined to use the first approach, which is more of an 80-20, what's the highest leverage plate sort of things that we can do? How can we focus on our YouTube videos and focus on distribution second, but we're doing it consistently? And that's sort of in the chat just now. It's not necessarily the best idea to try to be everywhere at once. Like there are platforms like Reddit, Quora, God knows other platforms, which you could also be on. And for some people, Reddit might be the perfect opportunity because the target audience are there, their content fits, for example. So with social media as well, we just want to start small. What is our most effective places to show up with, and how can we do it in the easiest way? So our first approach is what I'd recommend you guys to do, because you're focused on purely on YouTube videos, which is obviously a long sort of tail video asset, is that you can create video clips. So I'll be referencing a YouTube video, which I do have, which I mentioned before. I'll also show you a snippet of that video in a second, or I'll do like a live demo. The clips are very beneficial, and the reason the clips are good is for a couple of reasons. So benefit of a clip is that social media content moves fast. And if we imagined this video out of a template, so Ali, just like most of you guys, have a consistent backdrop. So if you're posting daily content, or you're showing up 5 or 3 times per week in the same backdrop with the same sort of maybe t-shirt on as well, because you're repurposing like a podcast or your YouTube video where you're in the same position, you can't really get out of that unless you do think to change your top, or you do think to change the camera angle. If we didn't have some sort of template here, then you may have scrolled past this content and think you've seen it before. So the main benefit of a clip is that making a clip in a very basic design, which can be branded, or it can simply be a white background like we've got for Ali here, as we used to do, is that the title captures attention in the feed. So you see how to stop perfectionism, and then you're intrigued to think, okay, I haven't seen that video before, and that's quite an intriguing title, and then you'll watch it. So the title provides a reason to stop someone from scrolling. So obviously we can't take it for granted that someone is going to literally read our content, watch our content. We have to fight for attention, because quite honestly, somebody could be doing anything in the world, and if they stop and read your tweet or watch your video, that's pretty amazing that they've chosen to do that with their precious time. So when you guys have people watching your YouTube videos, even if it's 1 view, 2 view, 5 views, it's pretty amazing that someone is watching your content. And then equally, templates can be branded. So at a glance, you might recognize if we had like a blue for Ali, like in a certain color, like his sort of inter font, for example, you might kind of just even not watch the content, but think Ali showed up today, Ali posted. And that's amazing for brand awareness, and done consistently over time, that has amazing benefits. So the main reason this is like the first approach is that with clips, you're dropping your video, YouTube video as it is, you're chopping it up, and then we'll just talk about in a second, and you're dropping it into a ready-made sort of template. So this requires minimal planning, because it just is one upfront sunk cost to think about your kind of titles at the top. We'll talk about subtitling in a second, but this is just an upfront sunk cost of making a template, which then you can drop all of your YouTube videos into to make your clips. So it requires minimal planning, and clips are optimized and look good on both desktop and mobile. Lastly, DigiDay did a report, and 80% of people watch videos on social media without sound. So you might be thinking, why do I see content with subtitles on social media? Well, chances are most 80% of videos are watched without sound, which is quite crazy. Obviously, we're in a bit more of a work from home world now. So back in the day in the office, if you're in the office, it's 10 a.m. You've pulled out your phone to watch a video. You obviously can't play it out loud with sound. So you'd be just paying attention to the subtitles. But it still is the case today that people, and just think about your own consumption behaviors as well. Like, do you always watch with sound? You probably don't. So if you didn't have sound to this, we have no idea what he's saying. Thankfully, we have a title, but we have no idea what he's saying if we haven't got subtitles. So that's another benefit of a clip, is that they can be clearly read. So this approach, this first approach is using clips really to cover as many bases as possible. So I know Ali likes frameworks, he likes titles for things, his lazy method, his lazy approach, things like that. I know Liz is doing a great job with her content as well, coming up with really memorable frameworks. Now, mine isn't the best acronym, but the most effective repurposing plan. is the best I can do. And feel free to give me some better ideas in the chat for this. But this approach with clips is you're casting the net as wide as possible. So you are creating a video clip which can be posted in different social media platforms. So this approach with the video clips, and you'll notice on the right-hand side is a clip can be in a square format, which on the platform of Facebook works. You can post square content on Facebook. You can post square content on Twitter. You can post square content on LinkedIn. You can post square content on Instagram if it's under 60 seconds. But if it's over 60 seconds, then it needs to be portrait. But okay, cool. So maybe it's worth us doing portrait clips as well, because it means we enable Instagram Reels, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts, which you know are high growth opportunities. And when I say aspect ratio, all I mean is that this clip was a template, which was an aspect ratio of a square. So we dropped in the aspect ratio, which is 16:9, which is a YouTube video. You've not like zoomed in to make Ali's like face fit the square. You've just dropped it into a square template. And by doing that, by thinking about clips, you allow yourself to post the content on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram as well, if it's under 60 seconds, and other platforms like Pinterest, Reddit, Quora. These all, like square is a very standardized aspect ratio format, which is accepted. Now, Instagram, you can post in a 4:5, which you may have seen before, where Instagram content it doesn't look square, it's slightly taller. However, this is our first approach. There's no point us also, well, I'm not gonna say there's no point, but there's no difference in you really posting a square video on Instagram or a 4:5. So we may as well just go, okay, we're gonna make square versions and portrait clips and 5 moments of our content, and we're gonna be able to post on all these platforms. Now you may go, okay, I'm not gonna post on Facebook because I don't see the benefit, but it's good to know that that content could be posted there in the future. So by focusing on square and portrait with your video clips and finding those fire moments, you enable all of this to happen. So the workflows, you're probably saying, how do I make these clips? I've seen clips look in different ways. You may have seen that more recently, we've moved away from using a template for Ali, and that was purely a brand preference. Ali didn't want to have templates anymore, but we've been doing it for like the last 18 months. And I'm a strong advocate for clips because of the title. So you guys may have been consuming Ali's content recently, and thankfully we have so much content where like he is wearing a different t-shirt, it is a different backdrop. But for a lot of us getting started, we're going to be making maybe 10 clips from a podcast or a YouTube video that we've done. We are in the same backdrop, we are in the same clothes. We have to have that title and that hook to get people's attention. So to reiterate, and I'll be showing you like a demo of how to make clips in a second and considerations, but I wanted to just show to you like this clip allows you to can be posted in multiple ways. So you record your 10-minute YouTube video, you've edited it, you've put it on YouTube. Then you're just finding those fire moments. And all that is listening through your content, and you're just thinking, what would be an interesting part of that to just chop? So in and out, basically. It can be as simple as that, in and out point. So if you do have like, this is a YouTube video about my 5 favorite productivity tools, then you should really have 5 different clips which can be made. And if you consider that in your script, which we'll talk about in a second, by having that mindset of repurposing, you can essentially have clip 1 would be your first productivity tool, clip 2 would be your second, clip 3 would be your third, and all that sort of stuff. So that is how any of us can find really good moments from our YouTube videos, and that's how we're going to repurpose them and make clips. So you basically would take your YouTube video and you just think about those 5 moments, just drop it up, which can be very quick to do. And then you would just make that one sort of sunk cost, that one sort of one-time time investment to put it into a template and then have your title and subtitles, which takes literally no time at all. And there you go. There you have video clips from your YouTube videos, which can be posted on all those social media platforms. So this is like the 80-20 approach. My advice with repurposing and making video clips is that to just think clips. Now, I've said this to myself so many times that when I record a YouTube video, I literally hear myself say, think clips, because what you may have in your script, and this starts with your script. So when you're writing your script, you can make a little note to yourself in the corner to basically not to use leading sentences. So say I'm just using the productivity example because obviously that's sort of Ali's realm. But if you did do a video about your 5 productivity tips, So you go, and my fourth productivity tool is to use the Chrome extension video speed controller. My fifth one is to be using this. You've gone, and my fifth one is to be using this. So like the fifth tip has no like self-contained value. Whereas instead in the script, if you thought that each clip needs to be self-contained, kind of at the start and at the end, for it to be like a 30-second sort of teaser in itself, or like a video in itself, content in itself, you allow yourself to have all this content. So if instead you're like, you start with almost like the questions. If you do if you interview someone as well, you don't want to say to someone like, so I was interviewing Angus. I'd say, Angus, what is your favorite productivity tool? If Angus just goes, video speed controller, that's his answer, and he goes into why. If Angus thinks about clips and thinks about content, thinks about repurposing, he'd say, so my favorite productivity tool is video speed controller. Like, you set yourself up to have that content in the future. And this is just simply in the scripts now, just to have a little side note in the margin, just to think about not using leading sentences. And you can do this in multiple ways. So you're just basically starting with Angus's favorite productivity tool is Ali. And yeah, answer the question in your answer, as Daryl said, which is literally that. So you allow yourself to have these clips and to have this repurposing in the future. And then, as I said, like, do not be overwhelmed by repurposing. You're going to make video clips, and you're just going to make square versions, and you're going to make portrait versions. In a second, I'm going to show you a tool called Subly, which makes that even easier. It literally means you're going to just play your YouTube video. You're going to drop it into a portrait template, which you've already made. Export your 5 different sort of fire moments that you've come across. And then in Subly, you can both subtitle your content, and you can press a button and it changes your aspect ratio to square. So instead of subtitling 5 different portrait clips of your YouTube video and then having to subtitle 5 square versions, the most effective and efficient workflow that we use for Ali's content, and also for the Not Overthinking podcast, is we start with portrait. And then we basically, what the tool does is it just removes the top, it removes the bottom, and it gives us our square clip. So every clip uploaded to Subly suddenly then becomes a portrait clip and a square clip, and then we're sorted. This is a really efficient way of doing stuff. So I want to show you that quickly. I have some images, and this is the YouTube video that I'm going to share with you guys as well, which you can watch in your own time. This is our first approach, how to make video clips. And our second approach is just going to be talking about like what Ali said about yesterday, like, okay, so you've got your script, you can now make Twitter threads, you can make carousels, you can make a personal website, you can make a blog. More recently, we've recorded portrait specific content for TikTok Reels and Shorts, which is my approach too. Doesn't take much time, but gives you even more content to play with. But firstly, I want to just show you the video clips and Subly, which is a really good tool for you guys to use, which is what we use for Ali. So whether you use Final Cut, whether you use DaVinci, whether you use any video editing tool, this is the template we used for Ali for a very long time, about a year. And when I'm starting to repurpose my own content, I'm going to have literally something like this, because it can cover so many bases. So you just drop your YouTube video into your timeline. You find your fire moments, just your in and out points. So hopefully the video is self-contained. It ends at a good point. And then literally just to kind of, maybe sometimes we can see like a clip and we kind of see the whole picture. We don't see the parts, but all this is the YouTube video, a title. So this title text, and any editing software can have title text. You drop it in above. We had a progress bar, which in the explainer video, I'll show you how to make, which just, say the video is 45 seconds. It encourages someone to watch to the end because you can see that it's about to finish. And then in Subly, in your editing software, this is all you're making. So when you go to make your fire moments, you listen through to the content, you make your fire moments, you drop in your title at the top, maybe a progress bar. I don't even need to have that, to be honest. And then a lot of people subtitle content. Even video agencies do that, where they try and add subtitles directly and manually in an editing tool. So you would just like listen to the first 3 seconds, you type in what was said, and then you'd listen to what was said next, and you do that. But there's so many great options for subtitling, where tools will literally subtitle it for you, which is so easier to do. So this is what we do for Ali. We dropped the videos, we found our fire clips, and we exported however many fire moments that we have in our template like this. So all we have is the title at the top, no subtitles. And this is our portrait template. So portrait is, when I say 9 by 16, it's the same as 1080 by 1920. and square is 1080 by 1080. I'm going to show you why we only export portrait content. And this is because of Subly, which then gives us the subtitles at the bottom, which makes it easy to read, which means 80% of people can read it. And then we get our square version. And all Subly is going to do, and the benefits of having like a block color background or having a design which can be chopped, is that all the Subly is going to do with one click is just remove the top like that, and it's going to remove the bottom like that. So with Subly, we can choose where our subtitles appear. So we can make sure our subtitles are spaced about here. And then all it's going to do, we're going to have export our portrait version with subtitles, and then it's going to just give us our square version with subtitles, which allows for Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and all the other platforms as well. And then this portrait content can be posted on Instagram Reels, it can be posted on TikTok, it can be posted as YouTube Shorts. Our approach 2 will be about the next level to that, which is maybe filming specific full portrait content. But for a very long time, we were just posting this portrait content to those other places as well. So Natalie's saying, if you plan to make shorts to repurpose to Insta, what is the best practice for square layout? So with YouTube Shorts, Reels, and TikTok, you have to post a portrait clip. Like, you can't post something square on those platforms. So the benefits of the template is that you basically make this portrait, you tick the box of it being portrait, but you tick it in a very efficient manner where you're just dropping the content in. If that makes sense. So you're ticking the box of it being portrait, but this content can then be repurposed to square, because Subly, which I'll show you in a second, will literally give you a square version as well. You could export portrait version, then you could export a square version separately, but you do need to subtitle the content. So you'd then be uploading a portrait version and a square version and subtitling both. So this is the most efficient way of doing it. Make a portrait template and export them. So I'm going to show you Subly. So Subly is a free tool. It includes a watermark at the top if it's free, and they have different paid plans, but we have like a PTYA offer for you guys to check it out, which is cool. So Subly is my favorite way of subtitling content, because it allows you, which I'll show you in a second, to choose how the subtitles look, and it allows you to look at the positioning as well. So some tools, like if you use Premiere to subtitle content, which you can do, like you can't choose where the subtitles are. But with Subly, you can choose where they fit on the screen, which basically means it's easier to read and it gives you more customizability. So I'm going to show you Subly. So you've got your clips, you've got your fire moments, you've made these, and then we're going to show you how to subtitle them. And we're going to show you how to make your different aspect ratios. And then that would probably be literally in about 15 minutes. Then after that, we'll talk about approach 2, and then we'll open up for a Q&A, and we'll finish in about half an hour's time. So 10 more minutes, just showing you now as like a live demo, how we use Subly to subtitle content and to finish off our clips. And then we'll probably leave some time to have Q&As. And I'm more than happy to stay behind past this 6:30 p.m. UK time, GMT. I'm happy to stay behind to answer questions more. But for those who are going to jump out, I want to just make sure we do answer some questions. So Subly, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to get Angus up on the screen again. Or if anyone can give me a thumbs up if they can see this tool Subly on my screen now. So can people see this? Thumbs up from people or nods? Yeah, perfect. Thank you, guys. Amazing. So you've made your fire moments in your editing software of choice. And then this is Subly. So Subly, basically you'd upload your video to this tool. And on the left-hand side, it's going to transcribe literally transcribe and subtitle all your content. So it does about 80% accuracy. And then what you do is you can like edit everything, right? So you can edit the timestamps, you can edit when the content comes on the screen. You can make sure it all looks perfect in terms of, so for example, LinkedIn doesn't come up as a word. So you want to like look where LinkedIn is and change it. Then with Subly, what you can do, so you've got your subtitles done. You can change the font. So you can change the font of the subtitles. So if I change it to this one, you can change how it looks. So you can start to identify your brand. You can choose the size of the subtitles. As well, you can choose how they look, the positioning, and things like that. So where they're positioned on the screen, like this. So by trial and error, we've just made our clip, our template, which I'll walk you through in that YouTube video. I know that portrait content, I just put subtitles position 500 at the bottom, which is just what I've learned for Ali's content. I like to keep subtitles as sort of on 2 lines. We have our font, we have our size. So this is basically so easy to do. It's like a preset, and you can say this is a preset here. So this is our portrait content. So what we can do then is we would then subtitle this, and we'd hit download, and we get our subtitled portrait version. A text file gives you that transcription of what's been said. So in terms of repurposing, if you have a text file as well, which is my favorite reason for using Subly, you then get what you've said in that video clip, which you can literally then turn into your Twitter thread, because you can just listen to what you've said. You've made the text word for word perfect to make it look good for the video clip. You export the text file, and you can just literally take your tweets, your tweet worthy moments in there as well. So for Ali's content, we used to make this video clip, do the subtitles, export it as portrait. I download the text file, and then this would be my first draft of what the caption or like the social media copy is of the post. So I download this text file, you open it up, it's your transcription. And I just literally go, okay, go, just write my post for Ali. So then you have your post, and then you have your video file of your portrait clip. Now, the reason Subly is my sort of recommended tool is you can also change the aspect ratio. So as we know from the most effective repurposing plan, you can press square. It's going to crop in to change the aspect ratio. And then by default, I know that the style from just, again, trial and error, I just change where the subtitles are positioned on the screen. And I know from just, I've got it as my notes down here, that if I put this as roughly 100, this content looks good. And then I have my square version, and I literally press download. It by default shows up as square. And then I already would have the text file at this point, so I don't need that again. And I hit download. And then what this gives us is we have a portrait version of our clip, which can go on Instagram Reels, TikTok, YouTube Shorts. If it's over 60 seconds, it can go on Instagram TV. And then we have our square version, which now can go on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and all the other platforms as well. So you found your fire moment, you've dropped it into a template, which just takes an upfront cost. And then now you have all of this content to post in all these different ways. And Subly is only in English. No, so when you update, Subly update, when you update a video, you choose the language. So you choose the language. I've chosen British English for the subtitles. So it's best guess. It's like of what's been said uses that. So you can use different languages. You can also use in terms of the template. I like to make the template in editing software, but there's different features. Like you can, so the free version has this watermark, which appears like that, but the paid plan, which you guys are going to have like a month code for, removes it, which is easy. You can actually make this headline in Subly. So what you could do is literally just take a white square template, a portrait template, drop your YouTube videos in there, and then export it. And you can make this headline text in Subly as well. So you can literally make clips from start to finish in Subly, from titles to subtitling. And then you can get as many different variants versions as you want. Because you've considered how it's going to crop, basically, is like how you've saved yourself this time. And they also have translation and different things like that. Reason I'm saying Subly is because we used to use different tools for Ali's content where the subtitles were limited. So you couldn't choose where they were or how they looked. So we didn't really have control of the branding. And the subtitles could just like appear here on the video, which would be hard to read. And just to show you one more thing, so you can choose how they look. So you could have like drop shadow, you could have that, and you could change the text to white, for example. So like if we wanted that to sit on top of the video, we could do this. Just play around with it, for example, and maybe we wouldn't have the progress bar in that example. So there's lots to do. So that is how video clips is like your 80-20 approach really to repurpose your content. Now I want to just finish off and talk about, just to reiterate, we did this for Ali for a very long time, just this way of working. And then I want to just, so this video clip here shows what I've just shown you. So I'm going to skip past this. This is the YouTube video, which I was talking about, which will show you how to make your templates. You can make them branded more. You can have a design.
A key principle
as well. So that's the YouTube video. And then just to wrap up before we go to a Q&A is your second approach to content is maybe slightly more advanced, but it's because there is great opportunities right now for TikTok content, Instagram Reels, and YouTube Shorts. You may want to potentially, as Ali said about yesterday, after you filmed your YouTube video, you may want to, like you've literally just gone through your script, you've probably done a few takes. You might then want to turn the camera onto yourself and do like a full portrait version of the content. So as we've got here on the right, That's what Ali used to do. So for YouTube Shorts, he'd do his YouTube video. He'd just add on an extra half an hour recording session to record his shorts as well, which would then be amazing distribution for your YouTube video as well. Like you've posted like a teaser, a trailer, or 1 point from that video, and then to watch the 10 other points that you've made, they watch the full video. So sort of a second approach for you guys if you want to really focus on growth on these social media platforms. So if you don't have an audience, I think this is a good approach as well, but maybe start with clips first. Or if you don't want to make clips, you want to take that effort, maybe you don't have the time or the resources, then you could, one, show the YouTube video that I've made to a member of your team, or like someone you hire on Fiverr or someone like that to try and make their content for you. Or secondly, you could do this, just make portrait only content after a YouTube video for TikTok Reels and Shorts. So this is amazing again for like, here's my 3 productivity tips. You just basically reel off. So like how to generate passive income, and you go step 1 done, step 2 done, step 3 done in 30 seconds, and that's your YouTube short, for example. But when you do that full portrait, you don't need to worry about subtitling or titles or anything like that, because in these apps, in the TikTok app, in the Instagram Reels section, on YouTube Shorts, you can add text and sort of subtitle it in app as it is, so you don't need to do that. So Pete's saying, any issue with not turning the camera and just cropping? So that is, yeah. So with that, if you're doing your landscape YouTube video, there's no issues at all if you want to just like crop in to portrait. And hopefully you guys can see me, like if this Zoom window is my YouTube video, so if I'm here, I'm central, you could just crop into portrait in editing software, but you need to just think about that first. So you might want to like allow yourself some headroom, allow yourself some like spaces on the screen to do text. And that might make the YouTube video not as engaging or aesthetic. It's absolutely fine. What we found with Ali doing full portrait stuff is we didn't consider, like, if we were going to crop in, we might like cut off his head or something, or his hair, or it'd be like this when we cropped it in. So absolutely fine. Just consider when you're recording stuff that you then want to crop in. So that's a really effective way as well to get content for all these platforms. Ali shared these slides yesterday. More recently, this is the second approach, is Ali and Angus essentially engineered this. So they did what literally you've just said, Pete, is that Ali did turn his camera portrait. Myself and Angus prepared like 20 questions for Ali to record. Angus and Ali jumped on a 1 hour Zoom call. And the reason I say this is because all of you guys have accountability buddies. So you could just literally schedule, let's film some portrait content for TikTok Reels and Shorts, which can be used on all platforms. So 1 hour to get content for all these platforms is a pretty good time investment. We did just consider above Ali's head to give some headspace, because that helps when content is posted. It's not like him completely up to the screen. But Ali and Angus in our session, obviously Ali is a seasoned pro, literally got 30 different videos, and for 1 month our TikTok strategy was just posting all of this content. Obviously you can see Ali's in the sort of same t-shirt and stuff, but really look, like, it doesn't matter at the start. Like, we're just trying to repurpose and cover as many bases as we can in the most time efficient way. And then as you can see, the text here is different. So we just edited the text in the app on TikTok. I got 200k views. It was our best performing TikTok. So we thought, okay, cool, it worked for TikTok. Let's post the same video on Instagram Reels. We make the text on Instagram Reels, and that got 680,000 views. So any of us can replicate this. Any of us can engineer like a podcast conversation. So you could, with a friend, go through your YouTube niche, go through all your videos, say, right, I've seen from my 10 YouTube videos now that these 3 topics are what people seem to want from me. Make like make like a list of 10 topics to go through. Someone could answer you the questions on Zoom. So Angus literally said to Ali, like, what's your favorite book? And then Ali would go, a great book about finance is this, da, 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 da. And he'd record it portrait. The reason this is approach 2, approach 1 works. You can drop your repurposed content onto social media platforms. We did that for a year. Absolutely. It's amazing. But it does take this little additional, maybe extra filming session for you to film stuff specifically for portrait. And then you'll make sure that you have that hook at the start, which you maybe don't always have if you've repurposed content, if that makes sense. So you go straight into the value when you're kind of doing like purpose-built portrait filming. So definitely recommend like grab your accountability buddy and just literally doing what Angus and Ali did, I think like a month ago. And myself and Ali are going to literally do this again because this gave us a month of content. And the purpose of that is because TikTok is a high growth platform with high organic reach, and so is Instagram Reels, and so is Shorts. So we have our video clips, we have our 1x1s. We also could post our repurposed versions as portrait as well. But we know that this is where the benefit is right now on these platforms, this short micro content. So we wanted to triple down on where growth is. And when we tripled down on Reels for Ali's Instagram, I think May was our best performing month because we had Reels, which was reaching new audiences. Obviously, Ali's a great data set because we could see very clearly with these large numbers that this content works. It did 3 times as much as better on Reels, and we posted it first here. And this just shows how your content can be, you're testing assumptions really. You're recording stuff for one purpose and just seeing how it can work on other platforms. So I'm going to try and wrap this up and go closer to a Q&A for you guys for like the last 20 minutes, but I'm more than happy to stay past that. So Subly, talking about the clips, this is how you can subtitle clips, how you can even make clips. Their free version has a watermark. It's absolutely fine to post with a watermark. It really doesn't matter if your content has a Subly logo on it. The most important thing when you're starting out is just to show up and post content. But because I always plug Subly, because I literally love this tool, and it literally halved my repurposing content production time for Ali in half, because I was initially making portrait content, subtitling it. I was making square content, subtitling it, and I was having to write content for each. It literally just gave me the click of a button, both aspect ratios. So it literally genuinely cut the time of content production in half. But if you use the code Joe, or if you use the code Ali, you get a month off Subly Pro. So literally just try it, like test how video clips perform on all these different social media platforms. And then after seeing what's working, what's not, maybe then triple down on certain platforms and repurpose on there a bit more based on what's working. Wrapping up, so I saw yesterday people were asking about scheduling content, which is a really good question. So obviously there are tons of scheduling tools. You've got Buffer, you've got Hootsuite, you've got Content Cow, and all these different tools. I personally have found from kind of being like a social media strategy guy for like the last 2 years, repurposing content now, like full-time, building an agency with the team, I've tried everything. Like I have gone to every scheduling tool and tried them, and there's usually a problem. So it might be that Buffer can't tag people on content. So you've had a conversation with someone, you want to be able to tag them because that will lead to them maybe commenting and sharing it themselves. It's quite important that you can tag people on content, and some tools don't allow you to do that. Some tools are pricey. So my kind of content scheduling stack is just the free tools. So if you Google Facebook Creator Studio, you can use a Facebook page connected to an Instagram account to schedule to Facebook, and you can schedule Instagram. So even if you don't want to post on Facebook, you can connect your Instagram profile to a Facebook page. Never use the Facebook page, but use Creator Studio to schedule Instagram content. We do that for Ali, for Facebook and Instagram, because some scheduling tools don't allow you to post portrait content, for example, on Instagram, which is over 60 seconds. Like some scheduling tools just have weird limits. I don't know potentially about Edgar for scheduling, but a lot of scheduling tools as well don't actually automatically post content. Like they don't automatically post it. So you wouldn't be able to like schedule an Instagram TV post and it goes live. It would instead send the asset to your phone, give you a notification, you click the notification, and you have to post it manually on your phone. So Creator Studio is the best for what we found for scheduling for Facebook and Instagram, because if your clip is over 60 seconds, you would then post your portrait version to Instagram, which will go to Instagram TV. If it's under 60 seconds, you can post your square version. So you've made both assets, you just choose where to post which. On Twitter, when you go to write a tweet, there's like a little calendar icon. You can schedule tweets natively in Twitter. So a lot of people use Buffer and other tools to schedule content, but you can literally use Twitter's tool and it's free. And then use what Ali recommended, typefleet.app, which is the URL, if you want to schedule Twitter threads. So you can't you can't schedule Twitter threads using Twitter's own tool, but Typefleet you can. So again, free way to schedule your content with Twitter. LinkedIn's API. So like you generally can't schedule videos to personal profiles with LinkedIn. So you have to do it manually, which is a bit of a shame, but it is what it is. You can schedule with some tools videos to company pages and profiles, but you can't schedule videos, if that makes sense. So because of that, if I'm posting videos, LinkedIn videos, I just do it manually to get around that. And then shorts, YouTube shorts, Instagram reels, TikToks, unfortunately, you can't schedule this content. So you have to do it manually. So for Ali, we're find our fire moments. We export our square clips and portrait clips. I write all the content for all of the different socials. And I'll literally just open up, create a studio, schedule our like week of content for Facebook. Then I'll open up the section for Instagram and create a studio, schedule our week of content out for Instagram. I'll jump into Twitter's tool. I'll grab our square clip and I'll tweet copy, schedule our weeks for tweets. LinkedIn, I kind of have just like a content calendar, very basic, which I've just dropped the square clips into and our LinkedIn copy to post those manually. And then shorts, reels, and TikToks, you just have to post them manually right now. So yeah, I'm very much waiting for a tool to do everything. But unfortunately, scheduling tools are just a bit hit and miss. So my perspective is like maybe save the money and invest in a tool like Subly or some other tool, which is going to like make content production easier and take less time, because that could be more time to do more YouTube videos, for example. So I hope myself and Ali have convinced you about what repurposing is and why you should do it. Here are my different handles. So if you want to email me, if you have any specific content questions, which I can't handle right now of the Q&A, so we run out of time. Like, I'm one of you guys. I want to help you as much as possible. I'd love to try and answer any of your like bespoke questions about repurposing and the socials you're trying to grow on over email. So feel free to reach out to me. I will be staying on now to talk things through. There's a website. I'm trying to grow my own YouTube channel as well with you guys. So feel free to subscribe to me on YouTube. I will subscribe back, I promise. Twitter and then LinkedIn as well. If you are looking for help with repurposing, then feel free to ask questions now. We'll go through as many as possible. If you want extra advice, feel free to email me. If you are looking to have someone to essentially repurpose all of your content, maybe you're a business, maybe you're looking to hire team members to essentially provide to you a social media strategy, write all the content, produce all the assets, you don't have to think about it at all, then that is like the service I provide to Ali, and I'd love to hear from anyone who's interested in that. For anyone who doesn't want to outsource it and wants to do it themselves, I'm hoping to lift the lid on how I do stuff on YouTube and to make more resources for you guys. So you might have an intern on your team who hopefully you could direct them to my YouTube video, and then you could just have your repurposing machine done for you. So I'm trying to take the Ali approach of putting everything I know onto YouTube and to talk about it on my own content at Twitter and LinkedIn. But if you want a done for you service, then definitely reach out over email. I'd love to talk to anyone who's interested in that. So yeah, I have got like 15 minutes now, I think, for Q&A, and I'm more than happy to stay after as well. So I'll stop sharing my screen. And yeah, thank you so much for your time, guys. It's been lovely, even though I've just been talking to you. I'm looking forward to talking with you, talking together now.
Cheers. Thank you, Joe, for that. Great talk as usual. Does anyone want to raise their hand to ask questions or drop questions in the chat, and we can get you on? Any questions to Joe specifically? Joe, you mentioned you have a good Reddit strategy. What's your thoughts on Reddit?
Ryan. Yes, I saw your question at the start, Ryan. So Reddit is an interesting platform. So Reddit is more community driven. So it's very community driven. You have subreddits, for anyone who doesn't know, where you might have a psychology subreddit, like a physics subreddit, a space subreddit. Like Reddit is like the home for people to talk about specific things. And for that reason, they have a massive, a really hard hitting self-promotion policy where you can't really promote your own content without it getting banned by communities. So with Reddit, if you're going to try and use Reddit as a strategy, I would advise going through like their self-promotion policies, getting to grips with what it is, and maybe approach things in different ways. So you could say to people, you could try and like address people's problems first. So you can crowdsource questions of content to produce. So communities will see that you're kind of trying to help a community, and then you provide like that video clip, or then you share your YouTube video link. Because for these moderators, they're seeing that you're just genuinely trying to help a community, which is a softer way of just dropping your YouTube link and saying, hit subscribe, or please like watch my content, basically. So some approaches with Reddit can work is if you crowdsource problems that people have, or ask people what content they want to see, then provide the content. And you can be like, hey guys, so last week I asked you, what is your biggest pain point with topic X? Here's my YouTube video, which I've gone away and made for you. A moderator who's a human being would more likely keep that content and not ban it for self-promotion policies, because you're literally just trying to help a community. Obviously, if you are trying to use Reddit in a self-promotional way, like you are trying to do what they don't want you to do. So you have kind of got to like do things in a package it up in the right way. But Reddit can be powerful to distribute your content to people who like a really charged community who want to see it. So I hope that helps.
Cool. 2 quick questions before we get to the hands up. This is a one-word answer, Joe, so be prepared for this one. If you had to repurpose on one platform, which one would you use? Put you on the spot.
I would say, one more question. I would say TikTok right now, TikTok. To be honest.
Okay.
And can I explain it why? Or?
Yeah, go on.
Can someone ask me? Can someone ask me the question of why I'd say TikTok?
Why TikTok?
Thank you, Angus. Yeah, TikTok in terms of organic reach is it is engineered to, like, when you go on the TikTok app, your feed is content from other people who you're not necessarily following, and like no other app is like that. So if you log into Instagram, you see whose content you follow. TikTok, you see who you follow, but you're also shown just like trending content on their quote unquote for you page. And it is no longer just funny things and entertainment. There is edu TikTok, which is like, educational TikTok. All of Ali's content on TikTok is educational. There's definitely a place for it. You just need to play the TikTok game. So this might require purposely filming portrait content where you do have that hook at the start. Because if you're like talking for 5 seconds, not really gone into value, anyone who's just scrolling through content, being served all this different types of content, they're just going to swipe through. So you need that hook at the start. But I'd say TikTok, if you know your niche, I'd say TikTok to grow. I like LinkedIn, but I think not everyone likes LinkedIn. So LinkedIn might take longer. But
yeah. Pete.
Hey Joe, thanks Angus. How you guys doing?
Hey, what's up?
Excellent. Yeah, good, thank you. Couple of quick questions. Have you experienced or played with like the hooks on, I think I put it in the chat, the hooks on Instagram, like you start watching the video, it then goes to the watch more. And I've seen someone like Gary Vaynerchuk stuff, for example, they're really clever on that. And the biggest idea I think is just, and then it stops and you kind of have to be forced to click on the watch more. Have you kind of tried that at all to see how it performs?
Yeah, I think like that sort of approach to social media content is clever, because even if you're writing a tweet and your goal is for people to watch the video, then your tweet caption should be like asking a question or like leading people and enticing them to watch the video. It's the same thing. So like on Instagram, Instagram, for example, if you post a reel or an IGTV, it does play like the first 10 seconds, as you say, or 15 seconds. And then it says like watch now on reels, watch now on IGTV. So you could be, this is probably like repurposing approach 3 or 4, like making specific content for that. But you can definitely think like, as long as you like front end I think this is my advice in general, like front end the value of your content, because if in 5 seconds they're hooked, or if in 10 seconds you've given your first point out of 5, then as you say, that naturally happens anyway, because you've said some value and then the content like either pauses and says, now watch it on IGTV. As long as you front end your content in general, you almost are providing a trader and encouraging people to watch to the end. So yeah, like people like Gary Vee, they do that. So it will be, he'll say something like, they'll take the 2-minute clip and then they even like make 5 moments from the 5 moments. So like you make your 10-minute YouTube video, you found, okay, the part in the middle was really interesting. It's a 2-minute clip. You got your 2-minute clip. Maybe at the end, he said his most groundbreaking thing. His team literally glue that at the start. So you're just dropped into a conversation. He said something groundbreaking, and then suddenly the clip starts from the start. So naturally you're watching it like you're just completely enticed. Like you will watch that clip to the end because you've heard the best bit. You've seen like the end credits, gone, oh my God, that's amazing. And then you want to get to that point in the video. So definitely, like if you have the time and the resources, definitely get creative with that. Easy way of doing that, make your like 5 moments, make your clips, find like your best one-liner, the most interesting part, like literally duplicate that and snap it on at the start, like simple as that. And then it's like, boom, your one-liner, and then the clip plays and the person is just naturally waiting for that clip. So you can definitely do that. And then if you don't want to do it with the clips, it's just like copywriting 101 is just, you have to hook the reader in your tweet or your LinkedIn post. Like the start of the content is so important. A similar example to on LinkedIn is if you post a video to LinkedIn, you get 3 lines of text before it says see more. So if you post a video and you have 3 lines of text to get someone to entice them to watch the video before they hit see more. So if you've not really said any value, why would anyone want to pick that video? Like,
you got any tips on
like
websites you can use that let you preview that before you actually go and post it, so you know which is going to be where it's going to get cut off?
Yes, amazing question. There's a tool called Publer. I can't remember if it's paid or not. It's a scheduling tool, but a part of this, I think there must be a free plan, and they have a part of the tool which you can preview your content, so you can see how your LinkedIn post or your Facebook post or Instagram post will look as if you're about to post it. So yeah, you can preview a post to see. I used to do that a lot actually, until it becomes kind of habit to kind of think about the hook. And you guys, the more you write content, the better you're going to naturally just do hooks, just like your YouTube titles. But yeah, great questions.
Last one was, do you do anything with like not repurposing, reusing content at all? I know, like, so I use Meet Edgar, and you kind of just fill it up with stuff, and if you have a quiet week, it would just recycle it and reuse it. Any use in doing that, or is it just worth focusing, kind of like YouTube, just focus on the next one and create new content all the time?
I think like reusing content and recycling it is a great idea. I would just make it like data backed. So I would, if I've posted content for 3 months, I would want to know what were my best performing topics, questions, or content to then recycle. So it's kind of like a comedian. Like what's like, you know, when a comedian walks onto the stage and tells the best jokes. So with content, with your written content and video content, you want to know what your like greatest hits are and your like best performing jokes that always land. And then you can then take your best performing content and then either create new content, attacking those and going deeper and attacking them in different angles, or literally take a video, which is your best performing video from the last 3 months, repost it, because literally copy and paste the caption, repost the video. Because if your audience has grown in that time, your audience now, which is larger 3 months later, probably haven't seen that post or that video. And Ali said it himself yesterday, like, I personally have done that. So like I had a week off recently. I didn't have any new content. I unfortunately didn't plan ahead. I literally just went into my content, or from what I knew from experience, repurposed content for a week, literally recycled it, reused it. We all think, aren't people going to realize? I had one comment from someone about the topic. They realized, but they said, thank you for reposting this content. Like, they were like, thank you for this reminder. So us thinking recycling content is going to lead to some negative thing, it isn't true. It's in our heads. So yeah, over time, just identify what your greatest hits are, I'd say. That's the approach we should do. We should just be like, what content lands with our audience? And yeah, I think it's good. Tools like Meet Edgar can resurface that for you naturally and automated, which is, yeah, a great way of doing it. I would just probably not repurpose and recycle everything, because the audience will judge for us what is good content and what's not. As much as we like to think all of our YouTube videos are absolute bangers, as Ali would say, like they're not all going to be. So yeah,
Sweet.
great points.
Awesome. No, thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Sukin.
Hi, Joe. I'd like to know what template are you using for your portrait? Did you create it yourself? Did you go to a store, a theme store to buy it? And what are the recommendations that I would be looking for if I wanted to buy or create a template?
Yeah, sure thing. So when we had our first template for Ali, if I share my screen again, we literally dropped a landscape. So I'll show you this again. So as a template, it created a template, but all it was in editing software was we had a background color of white, which is the background color. We just had our title text, which we just put as like a dark gray, and that's it.
Okay.
So you go into your timeline in editing software and you change your, in Final Cut, it's got a project file, but like your timeline wants to show portraits. You just change as a setting, like 1080 to 1920, or it would be called portrait for most things. So what naturally happens there is you've dropped a landscape video onto a portrait template. So what will happen is there'll be this massive like black space above and below, which people might see sometimes if someone has posted their landscape content onto like an Instagram reel. Is very clearly like there's a massive empty space above and below. So then okay, fine. Then what we literally just did is grabbed a color solid, as it's called in Final Cut, made it white. Okay, cool. Now we've got our white above and below. And then we just grabbed text and added the text. And then our template is formed. So like we didn't buy a template, we just created it. And honestly, this could take you 15 minutes. Obviously, there's levels to this game. Like you could have a pattern at the back, it could be branded. You could have your logo in the corner of the video. You could like do loads of things. But we opted with like a white background for simplicity, because then if you crop it to square, you're not like, and the reason the title text is deliberately above the video is because it allows us to crop it to square. So like your title text could be up here, but then you're only limiting yourself to just having portrait versions, because it would crop to square and like cut out half the content, if that makes sense. In Subly, I'm pretty sure you can set the background color and add a title. So you can make your template in Subly, I'm pretty sure. Been editing it in any editing software, you can do it. So yeah, clips like is a very efficient way for us all to repurpose content, to have that title, to have subtitles and everything like that. So yeah, does that answer your question?
It does. It does.
Cool.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Cool. Natalie, you're on mute. Sorry. Okay.
Hi. Thanks, Joe.
Hello.
So my question is, and I think some folks have asked this, like the length of repurposed clips, what's the ideal length? But my question is, on Twitter, can you just share a little bit of your, an example of what your strategy is for like a quick video on Twitter that you're repurposing, and, you know, like what you add to it to spice it up?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so our approach with Twitter is we don't necessarily make videos specifically for Twitter. We post almost like, you guys will see it now, like if you went onto Ali's Instagram and you went onto his Facebook page and you went onto his Twitter, we literally take the same video clip in either like a square or portrait version and post the same content on different platforms. The craft almost is like, you would then like, you'd want to write a different tweet caption to like a Facebook post. Like obviously a tweet is a sentence or two. It's a different, you know, you've got less space, and people use Twitter in a different way. It's a chronological feed. So like you have your asset, which you post in different ways, and then you'd like write your Facebook post, you'd write your LinkedIn post, and that's where you'd probably do different things differently across platforms, like with hashtags and things like that. So we don't necessarily like do specific videos for Twitter. We kind of just drop our video clips on all platforms. And what's quite interesting is maybe some of you haven't, like, you'll now realize if you went onto Ali's Twitter and like link and Instagram, it's the same content. So I've hands-free managed to share my screen. Thank you, Angus. So there you go. So that video is square. And as you can see here, we've got our portrait version here. It's the same video content. We've just exported it in 2 different aspect ratios. And as you can see, our Instagram posts. So in terms of repurposing your written content, with Subly or any other tool, if you transcribe what Ali said in this video, we've got a transcription. I personally write the Instagram caption first because it's longer. And then I'll write like my tweet from that. So I'll write my Instagram post. I'll maybe add a couple of extra stuff, make it a LinkedIn post. Our Instagram caption is usually similar to our Facebook caption. We just maybe wouldn't have hashtags. And in here, because you've got like a paragraph as a copy, which you've written as your Instagram post, you maybe have like 2 tweets in there as well. So you're even repurposing from a transcript of what's been said, your copy. So with Twitter, we do like a one-liner sort of thing, try and make it more enticing, summarize the clip. Instagram, Facebook, people use those content in different ways, those platforms in different ways. So we write longer posts. If that makes sense. So like we haven't made this video just for Twitter. We've posted this in multiple ways on different platforms. Make sense? Perfect. Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you, Alex, as well.
No worries.
Hey Joe, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. Yep. How are you?
I just have 2 questions, please. The first one being about captions. So you mentioned obviously you write the captions. My question is, how do you write the caption so it still kind of sounds like Ali? Because obviously it's a personal branding. You don't want to make it sound like it's someone else. And second, well, actually, the first one has two parts. The second part of that was, is the caption, because obviously you were taking a transcript, is the caption essentially the same information as the video, or is it sort of alluding this is what's going to be covered in the video? So, you know, is it the same content or is it slightly different?
Yeah, great question. So this will have multiple approaches as well. It again comes down to like, if you guys are doing all of this yourself, you can cut corners. So one approach could be with the caption. So you could take the transcript, make it look, space it out a little bit, and go, okay, so we're offering the text version of the video in case someone doesn't have the time to watch the video. We're giving the value of the video in the captions. That's one approach. You almost take everything that's been said. Obviously, if like you're talking for 2 minutes, like you have said a lot of stuff, so it might be quite long. So with Ali, in terms of, I'll answer the ghostwriting stuff first. So the benefit of taking a transcript is that we're starting to write the content for Ali based on what he's actually said. So the ghostwriting box is almost ticked because he said everything. So if you guys are outsourcing content writing to someone, I highly recommend transcripts because there's almost no risk because you've said the stuff. So you don't have to clarify, is this in your tone of voice or not? It's what you've said and someone else is writing a post from it. There is a skill to kind of take a transcript and like the nuances of what a LinkedIn post is. How do people use LinkedIn? What's the hook on LinkedIn compared to the tweet, compared to the, like that is, so to do that, all of that for Ali. So like we make all the assets, we do all the content. We have like a strategy for each social platform. We write all the content, do all of that. You get faster with it though. So I think the transcript helps the ghostwriting aspect of things for sure. To go back to your point, is should the caption be what's been said in the video to save people from watching it in case they don't watch, or should you be crafting the caption to maybe get them to watch, or should it be entirely different? Again, you can take either approach. So with Twitter, we usually, Twitter's it's like a noisier feed. We kind of just want someone to watch the video at this point. They're not probably going to read paragraphs of text. We can't even write paragraphs of text. So we're kind of just summarizing the main value piece. And if you do use like a title in a clip, you have that extra thing working for you to pique someone's interest. Ali's videos at the moment don't have titles, so we have to like really try and hook people in with the caption to kind of summarize why you're about to watch this. Sometimes if it's your own content, if it's a 1 minute clip, you know what that longer YouTube video was, so you can kind of write a new caption and have your hook, and you know what you're trying to convey, so you can provide more of like a jam-packed caption. So you can take either approach really. The benefits of working with someone closely, like I now know Ali's tone, like I know his tone on LinkedIn compared to Twitter, and we also have data based on what works and what doesn't. So for all of you guys, it's really just about getting stuck in the game now and creating content, posting on different platforms. And you might go, all of my longer captions on Twitter just don't land. It's the shorter ones, and that leads to more watch time. Okay, cool. So you just found what works for your audience. But on the large part for you guys, like our Instagram captions is pretty much copy and paste to Facebook, because Facebook isn't a priority platform for us right now. So we're not going to really craft the perfect Facebook post and research it because it's just not worth that extra time. So there's different factors to answer this question based on, take the time writing the post, thinking about your hook and all this sorts of stuff on platforms which you want to leverage the most and which are highest areas for growth. Very long answer, but
I feel like my concern was basically that, you know, even if someone has a transcript, they're making something which is like a custom made caption, which isn't necessarily the content from the video. You know, how will that work? But okay, that's giving me some things to think about.
Yeah. So like, for example, Ali has like articles on like motivation's a myth. So if our clip is like, why you don't need motivation, because I know his content now, I can kind of open up his article and I can like provide more value because I know where to go for it. You could write a whole different caption, which is like, it doesn't make much sense for your caption to not be relevant to the video. Like if you're talking about two different topics, then there's going to be a disconnect and someone will watch the video for 2 seconds, jump out because it wasn't what they expected. I think you're always going to naturally have it relevant in some sort of way. And it's more about like the length of the caption. Are you using hashtags? Have you got a hook? It's more about crafting the post for each platform, I'd say, is like the skill. And that just comes with time, I think.
Wait, The second thing I was going to ask you was in terms of distribution on these platforms. So obviously, I guess timing and the day you post is important. Are there anything else? Are there any other factors which you say which you think we should have a look into, like maybe like hashtags and so on and so on, or kind of like again maybe if we just look at the whole 80-20 approach, which things do you think we should pay the most attention to when it comes to sort of getting like the best reach, the best organic reach on these platforms?
Yeah, for sure. So there are like Instagram has a great sort of hashtag tool. You can just literally Google Instagram like hashtag generator, and it'll give you tons of ideas. So with hashtags in general, like a general rule of thumb, you want to use hashtags which are relevant to the video. So algorithms across socials are smart enough to know that like if you do hashtag productivity and it's not a productivity video, it's a cooking video, that your video just won't get, there would be no added benefits to hashtag because it's not relevant. So across the board, just use relevant hashtags. If you guys see Ali's content doesn't have hashtags, but that's a personal choice at this point. It's like this curve. When you're starting out, you need to do as many things as possible to get eyes onto your videos. So you want to research hashtags, find out the best performing hashtags for your content. When you're at Ali's level and you kind of are this repurposing nirvana, people are coming to you already. Ali's like is now the extra benefit of being seen by a few extra people. He actually rather not have the extra people seeing it, like 10, 20, 30, because he'd rather just write a really powerful tweet, or he'd rather just write lol as a caption, which is on brand, which his audience are going to love. Like once you become an established creator, like you might not use hashtags. At the start, you should be looking at hashtags across different platforms. And again, it's just finding what works for you. Some platforms it's better to do like hashtag productivity. So on LinkedIn, less people post. So if there's less people posting, you can use the bigger hashtags because there's less content showing up. On Instagram, it's more about using like niche hashtags because everyone and their dog are using hashtag productivity. So when you use productivity tips, productivity tools, productivity, like you then want to find a subset to that hashtag because less people are using it, less people are posting, which means you've got an increased chance for it to be seen in the feed. So yeah, that has been my answer.
And any insight in terms of like timings and day? I mean, because I know with LinkedIn, with Instagram, they have data and you can check your analytics and see, when people are online. But especially with LinkedIn, I don't think they currently have any data, which we can see anyway. I mean, do you have any insights on the best times and best days to post? Or
yeah, so I'll echo what Natalie has said. So she has said using later. So when I used to do social media, I do it full time now, but when I used to work for Cambridge, like if you think about scheduling tools like Hootsuite, Buffer, Later, it is their job to have the most up-to-date, best blog ever on their website, because if they can educate you and answer every single one of your questions about social media, you are going to then have so much brand equity with Buffer. You are then going to use their scheduling tool. So the best up-to-date resources are on like Buffer's blog, Hootsuite's blog, Later's blog, because they are literally hiring people to be at the forefront of like, what's the latest algorithm change? What's the best aspect ratio? What's the best time to post? And then they have like tutorials, demos, and everything for those sorts of questions. So mainly they direct you to look at your own analytics and to say, okay, so all of your audience are in the US, therefore your best posting time is based on when they're most active. And then it's like, you find out the answer that way. But I would definitely recommend looking at social media scheduling, sort of their own resources and tools. It's just like anything, like any business trying to sell you a service will probably have free resources in the blog to educate you enough to then want to buy the service. So it's in their best interest to give you all the information. So, and also social media moves so fast. If I gave an answer to this, I'm probably 2 months out of date. So in cohort 1, we didn't have YouTube shorts. It was literally happening as cohort 1 happened.
Right.
And like Ali and the team were literally trying it and then reporting back to everyone. So who knows what will happen in 3 months, 6 months time.
Oh, sweet. That's very helpful. I will check out later for sure. Thank you so much.
Cool. Sure thing. I'll just grab that YouTube video, which I've referenced quickly for you guys. So Angus, I didn't have the link to the YouTube videos. I'm going to just grab that quick and give that to people, which should hopefully answer any questions people have.
Yes.
1 second.
Cool. Thank you for that. Any other questions people have, drop on Circle. Joe will be having a look through Circle over the next few days, so do that. This will be up in a few hours' time in the guest workshop section. Anything else you want to add, Joe, or plug before we go?
No, yeah, guys, feel free to, let me give you my email address. So I'm more than happy to answer bespoke questions for you guys. Like I am generally here for you to try and provide any value I've not been able to cover. I use LinkedIn a lot. So if you send me a LinkedIn message, I can send you a voice note back, which is quite efficient for me. So feel free to DM me on LinkedIn. I'll get through as many as possible. If you are looking to outsource this, you want your social media content covered, you want to literally just have a Google Drive or a Dropbox folder, you put your YouTube videos into, and then the output is you have all this content going out on all your socials of the strategy handled, written content, assets created, being monitored, then I would love to talk to you, because that's what as Angus said, that's my plug. That's what I offer as a service. But I'm hoping to create as many resources for you guys to do it yourself. My goal was to help as many of you guys repurpose your content and to figure out what works for you. So yeah, please use me as a resource. As Angus said, I will be in circle as much as I can to help you guys. And yeah, going to try and make more YouTube videos just like you guys are.
Cool. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, everyone. And yeah, see you all tomorrow. Cheers, everyone.